Things are looking much more promising now that Herbert is back and they won last week.
Yeah, this is the game that I'm definitely the most interested in watching this weekend. Oregon is also looking to really avenge that loss last year to Oregon State, and they're going to do it mostly on the ground like they've been doing in the years past. This week, though, we have a little more to talk about. As Rolls-Royce Freeman is breaking all of LeMichael's records. He now has every single major rushing record in school history, and he's creeping up again on even more NCAA records. He currently has over 60 rushing touchdowns. He's one of the best backs you've seen in recent college football history. And we just control the ground in general. Last week, we only gave up 32 yards to Khalil Tate, a guy who was averaging by himself over 200 yards since becoming a starter. That's just something that's completely unheard of for any defense to completely shut an individual performance like that down so quickly, so efficiently. There were multiple times where he got negative yardage. There was a point in the game where he was actually at negative 16 rushing yards in the first half. And Oregon is finally healthy. With Herbert back, we're starting to regain some health in the secondary and at that linebacker position. Kene Benoit missed the game last week. He's hopefully going to be back this week. He's still questionable, and we don't know as of yet whether he's going to play. He might even be a game-time decision.
Let me tell you, Griffin, it shouldn't be hard for Oregon to avenge the loss last year, because are you guys ready for this? Oregon State's list of strength is almost none. They held on pretty well to Stanford, but other than that, they're 1-10 this season, so there's really not too much to talk about. Their list of weaknesses is definitely a lot longer, so I'll pass it right back to you, Griffin.
And to keep their weaknesses short, their main weakness, defense, they rank 120th in rush defense, 82nd in pass defense, 125th in scoring defense, allowing over 40 points a game. They're one of the worst defenses in the entire country. And their second weakness, offense. They're the 106th ranked offense in the country. They have 15 fumbles on the year and 10 interceptions. They have one of the worst turnover margins in the entire country. They're one of the worst scoring offenses in the entire country. Their special teams isn't good either. Oregon State has just been absolute garbage. They fired their coach earlier this year, and things might be looking up. They might even get Les Miles. He's made a couple comments about Oregon State since he's been let go as the coach.
Well, Oregon has had their struggles this season. Now that Herbert's back, though, that's good news for them. They had 235 passing yards last game under him. A lot better than we've seen in recent weeks when they haven't even gotten 100 passing yards. That's the one thing they've been struggling with offensively. They only got around 70 was the average under Burmeister and Alley. The secondary is the one thing they could work on defense. They allow 240 yards per game. That's pretty big when you're talking about secondaries. They have gotten quite a few interceptions this year. They create 1.7 turnovers on average per game, but shouldn't be a case in this game in particular. As we said, Oregon State just needs to, at this point, throw away everything and just start all over because they've got nothing going on for them right now.
Oregon had more passing yards in Herbert's return than they did in the last 18 quarters combined, which is just absolutely incredible. And it looks like on defense, all of those interceptions have led to their own turnover chain that has a beautiful green O on it. It'll be interesting to see that University of Oregon, University of Miami turnover chain rival, see whose is more popular by the end of the season.
I think Miami still has them beat on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oregon is unoriginal for copying Miami. Thomas Tyner, though, is going to be the guy to watch on Oregon State. If anything gets going on the offense, it'll be because of him. He is third on the team in rushing with 274 yards for the season. Some big numbers right there. He's also fifth in receiving with even better 42 yards. But Griffin played against him in high school. Hopefully he had some better numbers back then.
Yeah, he had a game in high school where he had over 700 rushing yards. His high school numbers were absolutely ridiculous.
In one game?
Yes, in one game.
Where is this on the Oregon State needs this?
It'll also be a little interesting. This is going to be a homecoming of sorts for him. He was recruited by Oregon as the 5-star recruit he was coming out of high school. He went to Oregon. He played for Oregon. He got injured and basically said that he was just going to sit out the rest of the time and take advantage of the athletic scholarship that they couldn't take away from him. And then he realized that he missed football and that he had a good chance of being good at football. So he decided to transfer to the rival school in Oregon State and go play at Oregon State, where he was a third-string running back. They've had some suspensions ahead of him, which has moved him up, which is why he has the numbers he has. Another guy that Thomas Tyner played against in high school, Henry MONDEAUX. I also played against him. He went to my rival high school in Jesuit High School. He's been a Duck, and it's been pretty incredible to see him evolve as almost a class clown in high school to this leader of men at the University of Oregon. In high school, he was 6'4", 225 pounds. Now he's 6'5", 280 pounds. He's moved from linebacker and running back. Yes, believe it or not, this defensive tackle was a running back in high school. That hurt even more to get hit by if you were curious about that too. Now he's 6'5", 280 pounds and leading the University of Oregon's defense. He's a vocal leader. He's a physical leader. He's just a complete force on defense. He makes all the plays that coaches look at in film, and I'm assuming he gets mentioned a lot in the film because he makes all of those hustle plays that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. But you notice when you watch him play, he still does have 5 sacks on the year and 5.5 tackles for loss and a fumble recovery. But, when you look at his overall stock as a draft pick as a senior this year, it's going up incredibly because of the season and because of what he does when he's not directly involved in the play and just shredding blocks, getting double, triple teamed on occasion, and still being able to make an impact on the defensive side of the ball.
Griffin, this is a really tough pick for me. We all know you're already going for Oregon, but
man.
For once,
I was thinking about going away for Oregon for a second just because of Thomas Tyner's numbers, and then I just.
Well, they make some pretty compelling arguments on paper for why Oregon State should definitely win this game, but I'm gonna have to go with Oregon. If you enjoyed this matchup, be sure to check out our other rivalry games, and also if you haven't checked out our Dizzy Sports Challenge, check it out. It's about 5 minutes of pure laughter as you watch both of us fail at sports.
It was a great time. It's about 5 minutes of watching us just repeatedly fall on our face and be possibly the most unathletic you could imagine.
Yeah, Griffin definitely was a little messed up by spinning around too many times.
My knee is still cut up after that. still bleeding.
The great thing is you don't feel it, though, because you're just so messed up.
Oh, my gosh. It was bad.
I face-planted, and I didn't even feel it. I was laughing.
Best gif you will ever see.
That is true. Thanks for watching. I'm Janae Muchmore.
And I'm Griffin Parkrose.
And you're watching RedZone to EndZone. Have a great weekend.